Today we're heading into the green pastures of Stanley Park. With me on camera as always is Rick Von Schmidt. There's a few different ways to penetrate the park. Today we're driving across the iconic Lions Gate Bridge. Stanley Park was named after a dude named Stanley in 1888. It covers 400 hectares, making it one of the biggest parks in North America. In 2014, TripAdvisor called Stanley Park the greatest park in the world. And there's lots to do here. There's a lake, lagoon, miniature train, cricket club, golf course, and even a house that serves tea. Some say loot from a 1942 bank robbery is buried somewhere in the park. There's 500,000 trees in Stanley Park, even a famous hollow one. And hidden amongst them all are lots of interesting places. Today we're going to look at 3: good, bad, and ugly. Let's get the bad out of the way first, okay, Rick? Stanley Park has a loving monument to a very, very bad president. Some say he was the worst American president of all time. He perpetrated many scandals, had extramarital affairs, and left behind a trail of corruption and controversies. His name was Warren Harding. Harding decided on a publicity tour in July 1923 while he was president to boost his waning reputation. This included a stop in Vancouver. It would be the first time an American president visited our fair city. When he arrived, there was a big motorcade up Granville Street, and he played a little golf while in town. And in Stanley Park, he gave a speech to a crowd of 50,000 people who had never seen an American president before. And he was a big hit. Big hit. Immediately after leaving Vancouver, Harding started to experience strange symptoms that doctors couldn't figure. And he met his final demise 7 days later in San Francisco. The official account was that he died from a stroke, but some say he was poisoned in Vancouver. Perhaps by his wife for his philandering, or by someone involved in his corruption. The nice folks here thought a memorial was in order for the disgraced politician, and this monument was unveiled 2 years later in 1925. It has 2 big plaques that talk about the peaceful relationship shared by Canada and the U.S., and the monument has resided here peacefully ever since, except for an incident during the Vietnam War when someone broke the beaks off the eagles. It looks like they've been repaired. But now for the ugly. When Stanley Park opened in 1888, someone captured a bear cub, and it was chained to a stump for park visitors to provoke. And that was the horrific start of an ugly place, the Stanley Park Zoo. The zoo was eventually populated with penguins, kangaroos, snakes, and monkeys. None of the cages were adequate, and the animals were mistreated. In a 1953 documentary, the curator admitted to the abuse that included feeding the penguins watered-down dog food. This ugly pit was built in 1962. It is where they detained polar bears. One of the sad beasts lived almost 40 years in this ugliness. When it died in 1997, people finally realized that no animal should be treated like this, and the zoo was closed. This is the only reminder left of an ugly place. Alright, now it's time for something good. You may be familiar with Vancouver's annual Bard on the Beach Festival, but did you know of Stanley Park's tribute to Shakespeare? In 1916, the Shakespeare Society, led by Mrs. Rogers, planted an oak tree here. Mrs. Rogers and the boys wanted to mark the 300th anniversary of the Bard's death. Hey, Rick, I can't see too good. Is that Bill Shakespeare over there? For the next 20 years after Mrs. Rogers planted the oak tree, the Vancouver Shakespeare Society planted more trees here, and in 1936, Canada's Governor General Lord Tweedsmuir officially opened the Shakespeare Garden. He said nothing amazed him more than the beauty and luxuriousness of this place. I don't know if he pronounced it like that, though. There are lots of different species of trees here, including beech, ash, dogwood, fir, and oak, just to name a few. It's kind of fun to try and find the little plaques that match the Shakespeare quotes with the capitular tree. Let's see if we can find a few, Rick. Ooh, that is Bill Shakespeare. Looks like we got a red oak tree here. Let's check it out. Yeah, Coriolanus. The worthy fellow is our general. He is the rock, the oak, not to be wind-shaken. Hey, found one. It's a locust tree with a quote from Othello. The food that to him now is as luscious as locusts shall be to him shortly as bitter as coloquintida. I'm going to get some Cole's notes on that one. Let's do one more from this good place, Rick. Here's a lovely cedar tree quoting Henry VIII. And like a mountain cedar reaches branches to all the plains about him. Our children's children shall see this and bless heaven. Incredible stuff. And that's going to do it for today. Hope you enjoyed this little taste of old Vancouver as she once was. I'd like to thank Bev Sugarman for makeup and Jewel Hillmere for wardrobe. On behalf of Rick and myself, thanks for watching. And until next time, that's a good bee. Hey, Rick, you still rolling? Yeah, isn't this the 200-year-old cannon that fires every night at 9 o'clock? Yeah, what time is it, Rick? It's 9 o'clock right now? Ah, geez. Take cover. Fire in the hole.
I might do that. Oh, there you guys.
I'm hit.
Oh, no, it's not.